And this is the most powerful work that you will do, because the reason why we release attachment to external things is because it causes a deep, 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 deep wavering within people where they never actually anchor into power that is power that is power, right? And one of the things that I have seen, the more that people engage with this frequency of externalizing their success, of externalizing their identity, of attaching it to this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, they actually prevent their evolution, right? Because they make their success or failure or whatever they're perceiving, right? Because there is no failure, but there is opportunities for alignment. They make those things ultimate truths based on externals, and then they don't allow themselves to move based on a true seeing of self. They only allow themselves to move based on the logic of the mind, because the logic of the mind is deeply, deeply attached to these externals. So when you do true identity work, you start to let those things fall away, not from a frequency of non-appreciation, but from a frequency of the reason why those things are there is because you worked super hard, or you're super dedicated, or whatever, or this frequency of like, oh, this was a one-hit wonder, or the only reason why I got here was this. Like, we create so many attachments to those things that we stop our evolution when we're being called to create in a new way or to bring a new level of power forward. And so one of the reasons why I'm having you guys do such a deep level of identity work is because this will carry you through all seasons, through all evolutions. And then you can actually trust yourself when your authority and when you're following your strategy to actually choose what's aligned for you. You're not so deeply attached to the way that things were that you don't allow the new energy of what is being created to be called forward within you. This is how you actually become the person who changes the world through your profile. Like, honestly, this is how you become the person who's willing to deepen into even further levels of alignment, even further levels of decision, even further levels of solidity, because the external is something that is going to be constantly evolving and constantly changing. And so the identity work gives you the ability to actually see ego self-protection mechanisms, ego backlashes in expansion, and not make those the ultimate truth. People who have not done identity work, every time it is time to expand and it's time to actually step into newness, they really struggle because they make these ego backlashes and these ego self-protection mechanisms the ultimate truth. And then they stay in a place where they are stuck for much longer. They're spinning their wheels, they're overthinking, they're leading from the mind. And when you become a person who does identity work, you actually, whenever evolution is being called through you, you become the person who allows that change. You become the person who allows yourself to follow that, because you're not so focused on the external and you're solid within. And so what happens is, when you're solid within and evolution's called through you, that evolution, even though it may feel wobbly within the 3D reality, or it might feel scary within the mind, you trust it, you follow it, and you're magnetic in all phases because you're solid within self.